And welcome back for chapter 34. I'm Lloyd Dobler. Today we're talking about Peter Thiel. And I want you to imagine a 2,500-year-old Chinese philosopher and the architect of American surveillance capitalism walking into a bar. And Lao Tzu picks up the check because he has no concept of ownership. And then Peter Thiel buys the bar, fires the staff, replaces them with AI, and calls it disruption. Complicated bar tab. The great Tao flows everywhere. That's what chapter 34 is going to tell us. Not some places, not only to shareholders, not exclusively to verified premium subscribers with some biometric clearance and a blue check mark shaped like a surveillance drone. Everywhere. The great Tao flows everywhere. It nourishes infinite worlds and does not claim them. Which means the Tao would be absolutely terrible at venture capital, because venture capital hears nourishes infinite worlds and immediately says, interesting, but what's the moat? As in, what's the thing that stops other people from getting in? The competitive wall, the defensive barrier, the reason abundance doesn't just flow to everyone, which, if you think about it, is the whole problem. And maybe no modern human being embodies that question more perfectly, more completely, more philosophically, more intentionally than Peter Thiel. Now, look, before everybody in your Ayn Rand book club starts firing emails off to me from inside your Patagonia vests stitched together with cryptocurrency anxiety, let me say something clearly. Peter Thiel is not stupid. He sees real things. He sees institutional decay, media collapse. He sees bureaucratic paralysis. He sees loneliness. He sees the hollowness of consumer liberalism. He sees the cracks. I give it to him. He sees them clearly. He just thinks the solution is to make sure that the right people get to live on the other side of them. Peter Thiel, the Silicon Valley Messiah, believes if something matters, it should belong to the exceptional. The future, data, infrastructure, space, truth, medicine, AI, the apocalypse itself, especially the apocalypse, because billionaires love apocalypse now. Regular people prepare for disaster by buying canned beans and checking in on their neighbors. Billionaires prepare for disaster like James Bond villains trying to escape the third act. New Zealand bunkers, private compounds, Mars colonies. Billionaires are treating the earth like Burning Man after the ketamine wearing off. Billionaires are treating the earth like it's a class group project they stopped showing up for and they still want to get credit for. Billionaires are treating the earth like it's some ayahuasca retreat run by Lockheed Martin. Peter Thiel, the co-founder of Palantir, named his company after the seeing stones from the Lord of the Rings, which honestly should have been everybody's first clue. Because in Tolkien, in the Lord of the Rings, the Palantiri corrupt people through the illusion of control. You look into them believing that you're gaining knowledge, but eventually the knowledge begins to shape you, which is basically social media with defense contracts. And here's what Palantir actually does right now, today, with your tax dollars. ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has paid Palantir $30 million to build a new platform called Immigration OS. It's an AI system designed to identify and track and deport people, disappear them, pulling together data from passport records, social security files, IRS tax data, license plate readers, what you ordered from DoorDash, all that shit into one little app. Palantir's federal contracts have grown from $4 million in 2009 to nearly $1 billion in 2025, and its stock price rose 200% under the Trump administration. So, does this sound like a rigged game, you say? Peter Thiel agrees. Peter Thiel would say competition is for losers, and he'd shout it to you from a Wall Street Journal op-ed. His philosophy is that monopoly, being so dominant that competition becomes irrelevant, is the correct goal, not just for business, as a worldview. Peter Thiel has written that freedom and democracy are incompatible. He molded J.D. Vance from a hillbilly Trump critic into a mini-me beta test for billionaire-managed populism. And this motherfucker, Peter Thiel, he gives lectures about the Antichrist, not as a warning, but as a framework. Sold out shows near the Vatican, even. In leaked recordings from his lecture series, he called Greta Thunberg a legionnaire of the Antichrist. Greta, yeah, the Swedish vegan kid who skipped school to ask billionaires to stop burning the world down. That one, a legionnaire of the Antichrist. Now, I'm not saying that Peter Thiel is the villain of a Dan Brown novel. I'm just saying that Peter Thiel is the villain from a Dan Brown novel. Because the truth is, we already have enough food, enough housing, enough medicine, enough wealth. The earth produces enough calories to feed 14 billion people. We've got 8 billion. The hunger is a supply problem. The food exists. It's a will problem. It's a who gets to eat problem. And Oxfam has calculated that the wealth of the world's richest 1% grew by more than $33 trillion since 2015. That increase alone, not their total wealth, just the increase in the last 10 years is enough to end global poverty 22 times over. We always have had enough. Scarcity is not natural. It is engineered. That's the real theology of late-stage capitalism, not is there enough, but who deserves access? And the answer from the billionaire class is increasingly the winners, which is a weird word to describe people born on third base holding a flamethrower. Now, to put this into terms that even a Christian nationalist would understand, the Silicon Valley Messiah, Peter Thiel, believes that the people who caused the flood have every right to start selling tickets to the ark. And that, my friends, is one reason that I meditate. Because if I stare directly into this stuff for too long without breathing, without centering, without slowing down, I start thinking that the Unabomber had a decent graphic designer. And that's not a tangent I can afford myself to let go down too deeply. Let go down too deeply? Were those words? Also, honestly, it's because the Tao keeps insisting to me that there is something beyond despair and beyond denial, some third thing, and I'm trying to find it before I die. So before I read you chapter 34 of the Tao Te Ching, settle in, get comfortable. Close your eyes. Or don't. Whatever. I'm not your spiritual advisor. I'm a middle-aged Gen Xer with a microphone trying to explain Peter Thiel through the lens of a 2,500-year-old Taoist text while billionaires build escape pods for the apocalypse that they helped finance. So, take what serves you and let go of the rest. But maybe close your eyes for just a second. I mean, unless you're currently filing an antitrust lawsuit against a surveillance tech monopoly, unless you're currently saving the internet from some Jordan Peterson acolyte because you have the link, you have always had the link, and today is the day you wrap it around the strongest of all possible Facebook posts and you win the internet for once and for all, or unless you are currently finally reorganizing the Tupperware drawer where all the lids have entered a blood feud with physics. Unless you're doing one of those three things, go ahead and close your eyes. Settle in. Take a long, slow breath in through your nose. Good. And breathe it out like a river moving around a dam that thinks it owns the water. Good. This is chapter 34 of the Tao Te Ching. The great Tao flows everywhere. All things are born from it, yet it does not create them. It pours itself into its work, yet it makes no claim. It nourishes infinite worlds, yet it doesn't hold on to them. Since it is merged with all things and hidden in their hearts, it can be called humble. Since all things vanish into it, and it alone endures, it can be called great. It isn't aware of its greatness. Thus, it is truly great. And that, friends, was chapter 34 of the Tao Te Ching. And I'll be honest with you, part of me finds this chapter deeply beautiful, and part of me wants to hand Lao Tzu an iPhone and say, buddy, you got to see what Peter Thiel is doing out here, because the Tao says don't hold on. And meanwhile, Silicon Valley is trying to patent consciousness and sell subscriptions to survival. So I don't totally know what to do with that. I really don't. Because some days the Tao feels like liberation, and some days it feels like the spiritual equivalent of, have you tried not being attached to the surveillance state? And I know that's probably not fair to Lao Tzu. He didn't build Palantir. Based on all the cute Instagram sketches I see of him, Lao Tzu mostly sat near rivers, stroking his beard and avoiding LinkedIn. But I think what keeps hitting me in this chapter is the line, it nourishes infinite worlds, yet doesn't hold on to them. Because that is almost the exact opposite of a billionaire ideology, right? Everything in that ideology is mine, my platform, my bunker, my optimization protocol, my Mars colony, my apocalypse escape pod with the artisanal canned peaches inside. And the Tao keeps whispering, what if greatness has nothing to do with possession? I mean, imagine no possessions, was Lao Tzu whispering to Lenin. John, not Vladimir. Which sounds lovely, until you remember that BlackRock exists. So now I'm asking myself, 34 episodes into season 2 of this spiritual podcast, is spiritual non-attachment wisdom, denial, resistance, or just stress management for empire? I honestly don't know anymore. But I do know this. The people I trust most right now are not the people trying to own the future. The people I trust are the people still making art without a brand strategy, the people still feeding other people when there's no profit in it, the people who have organized their Tupperware drawers, because honestly, those people are probably already enlightened. From the edge of the empire and the center of the self, this is the Tao of Lloyd.